Happy Stormy Thursday, folks. I was set up and ready to go. So super excited to finally be sitting outside after a rainy day and the sun was out. And by the time I finished setting up, of course, the thunder's rolling in. And I don't mean little thunder, like gentle waves of thunder. I mean like dragon's thunder. So now I'm inside. Sad. Sadness and woe. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're gonna have such a good chat. I'm so excited. Major storm there. Yeah, it's been pretty much bananas at all times here. So my son's bringing me a cup of water, but now he's chewing at me and he's gonna steal my cup of water. And I just feel like it's cruel. That's all I'm gonna say. There we are. Hello, everybody. My partner in parlance is here. Is it windy and rainy over there? Can you not hear me? Uh-oh. I'm sensing some weather-related shenanigans already. Nikki, can you hear me?
It is rainy. You're kind of staticky.
You're kind of staticky.
Oh, there we go.
Now I have 2 glasses of water. Hi, guys.
Okay. What? I can hear you.
Okay, good. I can hear you too. But now you're not moving. Oh, it's gonna be a good one tonight, guys. Welcome, Mom. I just bought a subwoofer. Oh, Nikki, you're in big trouble. Anyway, welcome to ThoughtFLOW tonight. Aries bought a
Should I go out and come back in?
You should probably try that, but you should ask Aries about the subwoofer first. Hi, Everly. Hi, Coach Robin. I hope you can all hear me. I can see you popping in, so I don't know that I'm the damaged one, but it could be me. Hello, everyone. Nikki? No. It's going to be one of those nights, kids. Hi, Robin. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I got nothing. Oh, yeah, Robin can hear me. Yay. So then I'm going to blame Nikki. She's got a swirly circle over her face. In the meantime, good stuff tonight because our friend, Dr. Tasha, is back in the house. And if you recall, last time Dr. Tasha was here, we were learning. We were doing some hardcore learning. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it because I was like, I think it's me, but it's not me. We did some hardcore learning and we had some serious conversation, of course. We also had some bananas style laughter. So I am really looking forward to tonight's chat. We are going to I know everyone is so sick of COVID, but you know, COVID is ramping back up. It's in the news again, hardcore because of these variants and this whole banana situation. So we thought it would be important to talk about that and what it could mean for the rest of our summer, looking into fall, things we can do to stay safe, all of that good stuff. So when Nikki gets back here, oh, here she is, we are going to invite Tasha on deck and then get the conversation started. And we have to figure out this whole subwoofer thing because I don't know that Aries needs a subwoofer. Hi, can you hear us?
I'm back. I can.
Okay.
You cannot hear me.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
It's delayed.
Oh, no. It's going to be one of those nights. Shame this is water. Do you want to try to jump out and jump back in one more time?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I might switch to my phone. I might switch to my phone.
It's always better from the phone when that happens. Okay, off you go.
Okay.
Had I known we would have difficulties, I would have prepared a dance for you. That's not true. Not at all. My dancing days are over. I could break a hip. But getting back to the conversation that hasn't yet begun, like I said, Dr. Tasha's here. And if well, almost here. If you recall, she is a doctor of pharmacy. She's a really big brain, a fabulous vocabulary, and she's funny. So looking forward to that chat, and also looking forward to any questions that you have moving forward. So don't hesitate to drop those into the conversation. In the meantime, if you guys have anything else you want to drop into the conversation, drop that in as well. Tasha, I see you. I'm trying to see you so that I can bring you in as well. Nikki will be joining us momentarily, hopefully. And let's see what happens. Now they're both in Chicago, so I don't know if both of them will have a delay, and then I'll be really confused. But worst comes to worst, I'll put on my spacesuit. You remember that one. Okay. Well, hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, you're a little bit
Okay.
jumpy, but we can work with that. How have you been? I see you in your summer glam. You look fabulous.
You know, it's always a party with you guys. I had to put on my party glasses today.
Ooh, I do like. Yes. Yeah, this is very important. I think accessories are always accessories.
Right.
So how have you been since we last spoke?
I've been doing well. You know, still COVID exists on my end. I know a lot of people think that it doesn't anymore, but it definitely is still out there, running rampant.
Nuh-uh. I was out licking phone poles and doorknobs today because I thought like the emergency was over and I was not washing my hands.
No, we talked about that last time. Remember, wash your hands. Remember.
Wash them twice. You know, if you have an Apple Watch, it will actually tell you when you've washed your hands long enough. So if you're having trouble with that whole timing thing, just go out and buy yourself an expensive watch. You'll learn how to do it.
Right. Why not? Right? Everybody get an Apple Watch.
That's
it
right.
tells you to wash your hands. Why not?
Exactly. Something that most of us learned like before we were two. But, you know, listen, some people are a little late to the party. I totally get that.
You know, it happens. It definitely happens.
So since you are still seeing COVID and crazy stuff, and now we've got Delta and Epsilon, what are you seeing out there in the trenches with real people who are arguing with you about vaccines and whatnot?
You know, I think the last time when I was on and I talked to you guys about COVID, we were having, you know, some issues in regards to just being able to get our own healthcare staff to get vaccinated, right? And so shortly after that, I mean, our clinics took a dive. We barely had, maybe between all 9 of our hospitals in Illinois, maybe 300-400 on the schedule. Like still wanting to get vaccinated. Yeah, we took a huge dive. It just, I mean, most people, they still feel that, you know, they don't want to get the vaccine. They're over it. They're done with it. You know, they're just making the choice not to.
You know, and it's funny because, not funny, haha, but it's interesting because I saw this, maybe he was a mayor, a local mayor, or perhaps a governor in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the news and he was saying, you know, I hope you guys are happy with your rhetoric now, because especially in the Black community, who was really, you know, coming in pretty low with those numbers anyway, all of the hype and the rhetoric has driven people away from the clinics, and now the numbers are skyrocketing in his area. You know, I love a good conspiracy theory as long as it's well founded, but you know, it kind of makes me wonder how, it kind of makes me scratch my head that people have fallen for it. But the other part of me thinks, you know, how privileged are we to live in a place where we can be mad because there's no medication to fix something, and then mad that there is medication to fix it because we don't like it and we've never even tried it.
Right. Exactly. And then you look at it and you're like, well, we have India who wants the vaccine, who's trying to figure out ways to give it. And then I know I just recently saw something in the news about all the vaccines were not real vaccines that were given to them. And then we have us here in America, and we're consciously making the decision not to get vaccinated, which comes to what we're going to be talking about tonight, the variants, you know?
Right? Sure. And you know, again, there are people with solid reasons for not getting vaccinated, but it always comes to me like, all right, listen, I'm not a big fan of injecting anything into my body, but at the same time, I have friends who just can't get it. They can't get the shot. And so if I'm doing this little piece, and you know, clearly I have not grown an extra hand out of my ass. I'm doing okay so far. I mean, an extra hand, like any hands. I have no hands growing out of my ass, and just in case anyone was worried. But you know, where's that empathy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, I looked at our numbers yesterday, and I believe we had maybe about 124 on the books, maybe. And we know that we're only at about, 53%, maybe, somewhere out there, of people being vaccinated, somewhere here and there in the United States. But still, I mean, even today when I have conversations to discuss this with folks and talk to them about it, I mean, they still have no real reason or rationale behind it besides, oh, it just came out too quickly. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, we started administering the vaccine in December. We're well past 7 months now. So are we still using that as an excuse, or we're just using it? I mean, we just want to be defiant. At this point, is it just that you want to be defiant, or you feel that someone is telling you something to do and you're just choosing not to?
Nobody complains when Taco Bell comes up with a new version of the chalupa. No one is like, oh my gosh, that is new. I can't try the new chalupa because the old one, I mean, was just bad. Like,
right.
Again, like, where's the logic?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's always a new burger at McDonald's, and if you try it, go ahead and try the COVID vaccine. What's the difference?
I mean, you could have gotten free McDonald's if you tried the COVID vaccine and won a car and maybe even a jet. And they're really pulling out all the stops here, and still no.
Yeah, I mean, they are. They have the lottery. I think our first lottery here in Illinois was actually supposed to be today, where they're giving away the $1 million, I believe it is, here in Illinois today. And then they had some scholarships as well. I mean, they're trying every which way to be able to get folks vaccinated. And I mean, rightfully so. I think they saw the variant. I mean, mostly everything has a variant, right? At some point or another, everything doesn't grow the same way. So with the variant that's out there, I mean, it was bound to happen, but I don't think we were expecting it to be as contagious as the initial COVID vaccine. And I think that's what is the big issue here.
So, yeah, so let's talk about that. So we are looking at these new variants that seem to be coming up like fast and furious. And, you know, I remember the whole argument back at the beginning was the flu has variants. There's 100 different flus that come out every year. And, you know, you might get it right with the vaccine, you might not, but, you know, everything has a variant, and that's just cool and groovy. What is the difference here? Why are we so concerned, especially if, you know, those of us that are vaccinated, we might get it, but 9 times out of 10, we're not going to be hospitalized for it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you know what, with the variants, there has been about 4 different variants for the COVID vaccine so far. There has been alpha, there has been beta, there has been gamma, And now we're at Delta, right? Not saying that the other ones are going away either. It's just that Delta is more prevalent right now at this particular point in time. And so the issue with Delta is that, you know, it was first detected here in the United States. So this one didn't come from China. This one didn't come from India. It was first detected here in the United States. Well, you know, it was identified in India. Let me go back. It was identified in India in about 2020, December 2020. But then it became first detected here in the United States in March. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, just like any other, you know, disease that we've dealt with, there are variants. But this particular variant here is about 50% more transmissible than our alpha. Okay. And it's, yes, exactly. And it's much more highly contagious than the original COVID vaccine. I mean, the original COVID that we had going around. So this one causes more of a severe disease than the original COVID. She went to her car.
Nikki had to get in the car to be able to talk to us. This is dedication.
Right.
Oh, no. Aw.
Is she there?
Nope.
Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Oh, there she goes.
The storm gods are not playing upon us.
Right.
Don't laugh at me.
She's in and out.
We're laughing at
And
you.
I don't know if it's still gonna. I don't even know if it's gonna work.
It's not working.
No.
Maybe you should drive down the street.
Right. Just drive down the street to me.
Okay, so yeah,
so this
or
one is
virulent. You said,
yes,
and
so
probably more
exactly
severe illness.
yes. So much more contagious and definitely much more severe for those who are not vaccinated at all. Right.
So let me ask you this real quick, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but when we're talking about people who are vaccinated, say,
Mm-hmm.
who get this, actually even people that aren't, what about the whole long haul situation? Are people more likely to become long haulers with Delta? Do we know that yet?
We don't know that yet. You know, we don't know at this particular point in time, but those who are vaccinated are pretty safe right now, right? They're pretty safe at this particular point in time with or covered with these variants that are out here, whether it's alpha, beta, gamma, Delta, whichever one it is. They're pretty much covered at this particular point if they've received their vaccine. But those that have not, you know, chances are, because it's that much more contagious, that more than likely they may get it. You know, we have relaxed quite a bit on our PPE. People have gone back to not washing their hands. I mean, I was just the other day. I was just the other day in the grocery store, and I was the only one in the grocery store with a mask on still. And I was just thinking to myself, you know, everybody's looking at me, and I'm thinking, wow, well, I still have 2 children at home that can't get vaccinated. Well, one can, one that cannot. And so I want to be sure that I'm going into clinics, I'm going out to the grocery store, that I'm not bringing anything back home, even though I'm vaccinated, right? Because you have to remember, just because you're vaccinated, you could still be a carrier and then transmit it to someone else, right? Or transmit it to your children.
And it's funny that you say that about the grocery store, because I was at the grocery store today and someone's perfect little cupcake child, was probably about 8, unmasked, of course, because apparently 8-year-olds are COVID proof. And he says to his Mom, why is she, me, still wearing a mask? And the mom said, oh, because she's crazy. And I'm like, well, I kind of am. But, I mean, I'm fully vaccinated. Your little cupcake here isn't. But I wanted to say that. What I really just said was do because I'm not getting into a fight today. I ThoughtFLOW tonight.
Right.
But yeah, it's, again, the dissonance is deafening. It amazes me that, you know, people just think, you know, it's hot mask summer. We're just out here.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's funny because you will get some folks that will ask me, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm in healthcare. Would you like for me to treat your family member while I walk around unmasked and then go in and treat them? You don't know if I'm vaccinated or not, which is a whole nother story about, you know, how many people are unmasked that are actually vaccinated.
The honor,
no, right?
Don't
It's the honor system.
The honor
it's not
system
like I can ask you.
Honorable people, of course. The
Right.
people that fought to have masks removed. So then, am I to take it to say, oh yes, we've got some good comments here. April is happy to be amongst the crazy. Thank you for joining us in the land of crazy. Tasha and I like it here. And then Mighty says here, Mighty the little me, I'm the only one at the gym with a mask on. I think the same way. My girls aren't vaccinated, and one has a blood disorder. Better safe than sorry. 100 million%.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, is it worth a chronic illness?
Exactly. And you have to remember, you know, our elderly are still at risk. They're still at risk as well, too, you know. And so, and then you don't know if other people are immune compromised. You don't know at all. And so you're walking around and you're just,
Welcome back. Just in time, immunocompromised. That's what we're talking about.
My car has its own Wi-Fi.
Thank goodness. It's clear, too. Welcome. So actually, Nikki, we were just talking about, first of all, we have some crazy friends out here. Brian is crazy. My girlfriend is crazy. April's crazy. Tasha and I are crazy. We wear our masks, so we're the crazy ones. But, you know, we're talking about how virulent these new variants are, and, you know, how important it is, as Tasha is about to tell us, how important it is to continue to wear our masks and wash our hands. And what else can we do? Should we still be socially distancing, let's just say, like 25 feet apart this time?
Well, you know, I don't mind the 25 feet apart, but you know, some people mind it. I don't know. Some people mind it. But I mean, there's still, I can tell you right now, when I go into the clinic, we are still required to mask, right? Because we're providing patient care. So we're still required to mask. You know, if it's not a patient care facing area, like our offices and things of that nature, if you're fully vaccinated, then they allow you to be unmasked, but still socially distanced, right? But at this point, people are thinking, I'm totally vaccinated. They do away with the mask and they do away with the social distance. So we're still supposed to be practicing some sort of social distance, because once again, you don't know if everyone else is vaccinated that's unmasked. We don't know that, and we can't, we're just not walking around with our cards attached to us, or in some states that have QR codes, and you're not asking people, let me scan your QR code to make sure that you're fully vaccinated, right? You don't know. So it being a trust system and an honor system, it's just, there's no way of knowing at this time. So my suggestion is still to continue. Even if you are fully vaccinated, you still need to kind of socially distance. Does it need to be 25 feet? Maybe not. 3 feet is probably, you know, acceptable. 6 feet.
Yeah, but I don't like to feel people's breath on me. So I just feel like 25 feet is more than acceptable.
Right. I mean, but it's totally up to you what that distance should be between, you know, and given this day and age, it is totally socially acceptable for you to say, I'm sorry, I'm just not comfortable with you being, you know, so close, you know, whatever the case may be, because you have to take ownership of it. Remember, you know, if you get ill, who's covering that ER bill for you? Are they? You know,
not that damn old.
Right. Not the 8-year-old. Not the 8-year-old breathing over the peaches that we have to eat, right? So
exactly.
Well, you know, I'm just saying.
At Whole Foods, back to having that open food out, you know, going, which I did. I don't understand why people are using the same and scooping and breathing. It's a lot for me. I don't like it. And so, you know, that's still going on. The little 8-year-old, he was like a little termite, and he's like breathing on the food. And I'm crazy for walking by in my mask. He's lucky I didn't have my whole travel outfit on.
Exactly.
We got a question. Can you discuss getting vaccinated even if someone previously had COVID?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So even if you've had COVID, the recommendation is still that you get vaccinated. So they have still been trying to study if, you know, if I get vaccinated, how long before I get the COVID vaccine. Initially, they were talking about 90 days. They kind of laxed on that a bit. If you got COVID, if you've had it, and they just want you to get vaccinated. So you're still supposed to get vaccinated because initially they were saying it's about 90 days. And then, you know, you're safe to get it done. But even if you had COVID, it is recommended that you still get vaccinated. Absolutely.
Listen, my sister's mother-in-law, she got COVID at Thanksgiving. She still cannot taste food.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally she can smell it, but more often she has these phantom smells. She smells fire, garbage, and sulfur. And when she smells garlic, it smells like fiery, trashy sulfur, and she wants to just vomit. I mean, since Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And she's doing all sniff therapy and the this and the that and whatever. I mean, I'm just saying, like, people who are so flip about it, Ghost Pepper Cheese is probably the best name ever.
I know, right?
Welcome, Ghost Pepper Cheese. I don't think she'd appreciate that smell. I'm just saying. But, you know, people who are like, oh, yeah, you know, it's just a little bit COVID. It's just a flu. Could you imagine not being able to eat and smell? So here we are, Nurse Senso. I can't see. Nurse
Senesu.
Thank
Senesu.
you. I need bigger glasses. Anyway, no sense. July 2020, no scent.
Yeah.
So I think we have to realize, you know, it sounds like it's super easy. Oh, I just can't smell stuff. But when you can't smell or taste food, sometimes you lose the motivation to eat. That can push you into a health crisis.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Senesu. Hey, I did say that right. I just thought I couldn't see. Or for the bad eyes, right here. You know, it goes beyond just the superficial. Oh, I have a runny nose. Oh, I might have a fever for a couple of days, and that's it. That's the experience for some people, but not everybody gets off that easy, right, Tasha?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have a lot of people that still have side effects from COVID. A lot of people, and they don't realize the side effects to it until they're trying to go back to their regular activity. And the new variants, some of them, you don't lose your taste and smell. And so that's what's making people think that they don't have COVID, and they actually have COVID. But I mean, you have people that have breathing problems, that they're finding it hard to breathe when they go back to their regular workout activity and routine. I think the last time I told you guys about one of my friends who's a nurse. She's a nurse educator in Houston, and she used to run like consistently every day, long distance. And she's finding she actually ended up with COVID and she can't. I mean, it's just very hard for her now. And she's literally months past COVID, and it's still very difficult for her. She gets very winded still when she goes out and tries to run. So there are definitely side effects. Their side effects are lingering. And we don't know if those side effects will linger forever. How long will it come back? Because once again, you know, they're still studying. They're still trying to figure it all out themselves too.
Yeah. And because this illness, and now the variants act very, very differently, because it's so variable, I think, you know, even though I'm not necessarily worried about getting sick, I think my immune system can handle most things. For me, it's the fear of, you know, maybe not being able to work, maybe not being able to annoy people. Hi, Martin. Or do ThoughtFLOW, which would be a terrible tragedy for all of us. You know, whatever it is, the worry of bringing it home to my family, that's another thing. You know, I just don't understand the logic.
Yeah. And what really gets me is that when I look at the numbers, and I'm looking at the numbers every day and the statistics every day of vaccinations and the demographics and things that are with it, I mean, they've given out about 3 billion or so worldwide or whatever vaccines. And here just in the United States, we still only have about 9% of African Americans out of all those vaccines that have taken it thus far. I mean, we have about 60% that are, you know, white, Caucasian, but we only have about 9% that are like fully vaccinated of Blacks. And I'm just wondering to myself, but I'm seeing you at all these beach parties and having a good time at the 4th of July and in all the clubs, but only 9% of all of those folks in those clubs that are African American are vaccinated.
They were talking about that on NPR today, and they were saying that in the south suburbs of Chicago, the vaccination rates are like in the high 20s, low 30s. But then in the western suburbs, northern suburbs, which tend to be more white, more affluent, over 60%. Mm-hmm. And what they're saying, and they're doing a lot of outreach. They're getting out. They're basically like, if you have 10 people who need to be vaccinated, we will bring the van to you. And they're literally driving around schools and saying like, hey, we're here. Like not driving around the school, but driving around neighborhoods with schools because they know, right? And everyone is happy that we're opened up. And this particular woman who was speaking, she was like, well, that's great. She's like, everyone is kind of viewing the vaccine as if it's done. Or the pandemic as it's done, it's over. Opening up equals everything is done. And then she was like, but your diabetes didn't stop.
Right.
And it's, at this point, there are so many things, and I think it's easy for people to harp on the negative. Oh, well, the COVID vaccine does this, the COVID vaccine does that. And I'm like, but COVID does lots of stuff. It's like, including death. And that's another piece of misinformation, is that people are saying, well, I thought if I had the vaccine, then you couldn't get COVID. And it's like, no, that's not what they said. They said that you get a lesser, right. The exactly. goal was to keep people out of the hospital, off of ventilators, having such a severe reaction to it that, you couldn't recoup, or that you're a long hauler. What do you suppose would be the answer to that, Tasha, in terms of getting that information out? It's not even getting the information out. It's convincing Black people that they need to be vaccinated. Whose numbers are going up? That's the booty part.
Yeah.
Their numbers are going up.
Yeah, our numbers are going up. Of course, it's in the Black communities where the numbers are going up. It's not Correct. In our affluent communities at all. But the part of it is education. And like you mentioned, we do, like my company, we do the mobile vans and the mobile health, and they park in the communities. And when they report back to me after the event, they'll come back and they'll say, oh, Tasha, we had 7 people. I'm like, you were out there for 12 hours. We had 7 people show up. We had 13 people show up. And it's like, you're there to educate them. You're there to tell them what's happening. And it's just like the new generation is, I'm not going to believe it until it happens to me. I'm not going to believe it actually exists until I get it. Nope, I'm not going to get the vaccine. No, you guys are crazy, right? They're just not believing it, no matter how much education you put, whether we're doing it, people of color are telling, other people of color, hey, this is real. This is here. This is what I see. They're still not going for it. I have plenty of family members that still are not vaccinated and don't want to get vaccinated. I mean, right. For the same reasons, that have been out there. No, they're just trying to put something in your body. Remember, I told you guys, you're going to turn into tigers, or you're going to, oh no, that's the government tracking you. And I'm thinking to myself, no, the government tracks you by your paycheck, okay? Not by that.
So, right, the government has been tracking you. The government started tracking you when you got your Social Security number.
You don't need
track
to
you
have
every
that.
time you get a burger from McDonald's.
Right.
They track it.
Right. Well, and you
Yeah.
know, I don't
It's
think
just a
it's
trust
education.
issue.
It's not education because you know the knowledge is out there, the information is out there.
Yep.
People have access to their doctors that they can talk to. They can phone a friend, you know, but when your clergyman is giving you misinformation, you know, it's easier to believe him than believe, you know, Joe Biden or Bill Gates or, you know, Nacho Mama. Like, it's much easier to believe that person that you hold in high esteem, no matter what the scientists say. And, you know, yeah, I get the Tuskegee thing, sissy, but we can only ride that for so far. Like I said, I don't know of anybody with an extra hand grown out of their ass. I just don't see it. And so at some point, and I'm not saying that there's not side effects, and I'm not saying that there's not people who've had adverse reactions, but again, if I'm playing the percentages, I'm going to gamble toward the shot, and I don't even like shots.
Right. And,
but
and
also,
you know what? People talk about the side effects, but you know, the thing with this is every single drug you take has side effects. So do away with the side effects. Like really just do away with that, because the Tylenol you take has side effects. You know, if you take too much Imodium to stop your diarrhea, you can become constipated. I mean, it just, everything has side effects. So you can't use that as an excuse either, because there isn't one drug that has been developed and FDA approved that doesn't have a side effect. I don't know of one.
but also at the end of the day, so Sissy, you mentioned Tuskegee, you know, that's a really big conspiracy for a whole bunch of white people to pretend like they took the vaccine.
Yeah.
You know, that was like a conspiracy, like in the making, when like Methuselah was born. You know, like at some point, you know, yes, Tuskegee was horrible, and it's not just Tuskegee. We know that. We know that Black women were sterilized. We know that they're sterilizing young Latina women at the borders. Yes, the United States government is booty, but this is a global issue. And so now with this conspiracy, we've incorporated all of these other countries. So all these countries and all these white people are in on this conspiracy. And it's not just Black people dying, but it's Black people dying at larger numbers. And so do you want to
and you know what
gamble? No, go ahead.
Yeah. So to me, what was really a statistic that I had read earlier this week was that since we've been administering COVID vaccine, 99.5% of deaths have been of COVID have been to those who are not vaccinated. So it hasn't been those who have gotten vaccinated. And I know people are like, oh, you know, I know somebody that got the vaccine and still got COVID. Yes, that has happened as well too.
But they didn't die.
But they didn't die. And most of the time they weren't even hospitalized, right? Versus if they didn't have that vaccine, then what? And if 99.5%, that is crazy. 99.5% since we started giving vaccines are only for those that have died of COVID, was for those that didn't have it.
But also these things for people who have gotten sick with COVID, and I think that there have been some people, you know, I read the tabloids, aka the news. Some people have died.
That's fake news. That's fake news.
from the vaccine. And when people just say that, oh, they got the COVID vaccine and they died, and I was like, yeah, but did they tell you the other stuff that was going on with that person? And this is back to, if you go back to the medical journals, and this is going back to the anti-vaxxers, yes, I said it out loud. The original study that was done on the girl who had an adverse reaction to a vaccine, and that was written in the medical journal, she had a mitochondrial defect.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctors who saw it in the journal, like people in the medical profession, apparently, again, I heard this on NPR, people in the medical profession were like, haha, that's so funny that like someone actually published that. And they didn't think it would gain weight or traction.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so they're just like, she got vaccinated. I'm not talking about COVID right now, people. She got vaccinated, like I think it was the MMR. She got vaccinated, and then, now she has all this crazy stuff going on with her. And they're like, right, she had a mitochondrial defect. And
Mm-hmm.
for every person that is going to have an effect, right? Someone is going to have an adverse reaction to a vaccine. Get it overstood. But you don't go, this 1% or this 10% is going to have an adverse effect, so nobody should get vaccines.
I'm going to base my entire peer review on those people over there.
And
yeah, well, you're
I will
gonna
say,
base your entire life. You're taking a gamble. You're gonna base your entire life, and to me, it's almost to this point as, okay, you don't want to get the vaccine. Tell me your reason. Okay, we're gonna drop you off in India. If you don't get the vaccine, if you don't get COVID, you can come back home. Because it's like you're not believing it.
Good luck.
You're still thinking
black
that
market oxygen. Well, best of luck. And maybe if you're lucky, you might change your mind and get the Chinese vaccine, which was just air in a syringe. Like, lots of luck. And just, Aaron, I regret to inform you, Jenny fucking McCarthy, as you called her, did not know what she was talking about. But in her mind, I'm sure she still thinks she does.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it's one of those things. And for me and for this, I always bring it back to polio. And people don't realize. So I have a friend whose brothers had polio, two of them twice. So she's in her early 70s and she sits right in the middle of her other 9 siblings. 2 of her brothers had polio twice. Parents were knocking on her parents' door, screaming and yelling and, shaking fists. Why didn't you tell us? Because they all played baseball. Why didn't you tell us your kids had polio? Nobody knew they had polio until somebody had a reaction. My father-in-law is a polio survivor, and I know what he would say in his heavy, like he never left Greece accent. He would look at me like I was crazy if I even thought I would have said that his grandsons weren't going to get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
It's, if you haven't lived, and the reality of it is that we have all in this country come across someone who's had polio. We all have. Mm-hmm. You may not know them, but if you see someone with a stunted leg, most likely, depending on their age, they had polio. So when people say that there are side effects, well, the side effect of having polio was one of your legs just stopped growing. The side effect of having polio was you got to spend the rest of your life in an iron lung. You couldn't leave.
Dead. That's the ultimate.
Or the side effect of polio was you were just dead, right? So
right.
You're saying, do I go to Dante's 4th level? Or do I go to the 7th level? Or do I just stay out of the hell pit? It's like, but it's a lot of misinformation. And I know we're on a time schedule with you, Tasha, and I really wanted to ask this question. Can you speak to us about the myocarditis? Am I saying that correctly? With the young males, especially, I think it's between the ages of like 13 and 14 up to like 17, who are experiencing swelling of the heart or inflammation of the heart.
Thank you, Kelly, by the way. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Tasha? You know what I'm talking about. Can you talk about that? Can you speak on that, please?
Yeah, so it was myocarditis. It's basically just inflammation of the heart muscle. And so it was happening in those who were like, what was it? At the time, it was 16 and older, right? Because I don't think it was approved at that time for 12 years and older. So it was for our younger, 15 and older. And then when they opened it up, they saw a few younger children also getting myocarditis. And, you know, they really still haven't figured out exactly why it was caused. And at this time, because those children were probably could only receive, or were receiving Pfizer because it's only approved in Pfizer at this time, the Pfizer vaccine, they still just can't figure out why it was occurring. And it was such a small number of people that, I mean, there were a lot that were reported, but after they looked at it and confirmed it, I think it was about 594 cases, right? Mm-hmm. But 594 cases, but we've given 331 million doses. So if you did the
to that age group,
right?
No,
well, in general, right? In general,
okay.
Not necessarily that age group.
Okay.
And so because it was occurring in 16 and older, you know,
okay.
And then it started to occur, right? So, and that's where they found it at. But they still indicated that once it went back to the committee, they still indicated that the risk outweighed, the benefit outweighed the risk of getting it, right? And usually with the myocarditis, when they went in and they presented, it resolved in about 2 or 3 days, right? With medication or whatever the case may be. 2 or 3 days, it resolved, and they were
stop.
back out, right?
And I do believe that there were some kids who were hospitalized in intensive care, right. But again, that wasn't happening in a vacuum. People were leaving that information there, like they were having like some big boom shaka. And then I was like, well, how about we discuss the number of kids who weren't vaccinated, who were getting COVID and who were also being hospitalized?
And then,
right, but you also have to look at it. You have to remember, Nikki, exactly what you just said. But what other underlying conditions did they have?
Right.
What else did they have? They're not going to publicize that. They're not going to say any of the other information that may have caused it. That's why it's very hard to determine, you know, is it the vaccine causing, or because they had some other underlying conditions? Right. Was it that? Was it this? We don't know. I mean, 594 cases, they would have to take all of those cases and say, okay, out of those people that had myocarditis, you know, 100 of them were diabetics. 100 of them were considered obese. 100 of them, we don't know, right?
We're on Adderall. Oops, did I say that out loud?
What's that?
I said we're on Adderall. Oops, did I say that out loud?
Right. So you'd have to see what all the other conditions
there's
were.
being on Adderall, and then there's getting it from your friend.
Well, I mean, that's a totally different. I mean, I totally agree with both of you. You know, and that is the thing too. You know, considering that the body at that age is still under massive development. Yes. And that's also a time for, we'll just call it rampant experimentation in a lot of kids. You know, we really don't know what else is going on. I mean, no kid's going to be like, Mom, I was huffing and then I got my COVID vaccine. Oops, probably should have thought that through a little bit better.
Exactly.
It doesn't really work that way. So, you know, and speaking of side effects with kids, because Tasha, I need you to explain something to me and answer a question kind of. So one of my friends, love her quasi stepchildren like products were like, we aren't going to get the vaccine because, you know, we're concerned about a low sperm count. And I'm like, one, they're 15. Why are they worried about their sperm count today? 2, that's a win for you, parent. Shouldn't you make them get it? But 3, and more importantly, how did they come across the fact that these 16-year-olds were having low sperm count enough to publish it? Or maybe it only happened to like 3 kids. I mean, I don't know. What's the backstory on that?
Where was that published? Who published that? Was that
CNN?
I'm sorry, I don't recall ever seeing or hearing that. So where did they?
I mean, I heard it, but it was on like rightwingnutjob.com.
Right. I mean, that is crazy. And if that is the case, let me hurry up and go get my son his second dose.
That's
So
me.
we
I'm
don't
gonna
have
get mine a third.
right?
I'm gonna get it for him in a salve, earrings,
Yeah.
you know, what else?
I had not heard that they actually studied the sperm count. I mean, because of all the things, that's the concern that you're worried about with COVID running rampant around here.
It's better than other things running rampant.
But once again, it's a male. They produce how many sperm a day? I'm sure he'll be fine. The COVID vaccine is just 2 vaccines, 21 or 28 days apart. After that 28th day, he can reproduce more. He'll be fine. So I wouldn't.
But also, are they like not concerned with their kids losing, you know, with their sperm count when it comes to watching porn and masturbating like excessively for hours and hours on end? Because we know that. Look, I'm sorry, I'm going to do a brief interjection. They now
is
want
that with
anger.
or without Vaseline?
Uncle,
I
can't. No.
They now want an anger. They want an anger hotline to slow all of the angry. They just call it. You know, there's so many people. All of these mass shooters are suffering from anger. You know, they always leave out the white male part. These mass shooters. So now they want an anger hotline. Okay, so you want an anger hotline. Okay, sit down. Go freaking run a marathon. Go take up something. Go down into your basement where your kid is doing whatever your kid is doing, playing with guns, excessively masturbating, slap them across the face. Oh, come on. Come on. You know, this is true, Misty. This is not like something that I'm making up. I do make stuff up.
I know. I was a teenager, and I know too that, you know, it's just really
Brian!
funny that we've gone from COVID to special time.
Because people are so stupid. You're worried about your 15-year-old sperm count. You're not worried about him being a COVID long hauler. You're not worried about him being on a ventilator and having to rehab from the ventilator and literally take all of his little atrophied muscles and rebuild them. You're worried about his sperm count, but you're not worried about his life.
It definitely.
I'm not worried personally. I actually think it's nonsense, and my girlfriend thought it was nonsense too, but this is what the kid's mom told them. And I think that people come up with all kinds of reasons, but someone said up here, and Harmony actually posted the link to the JAMA article about it.
Oh my gosh. And
that's that Harmony.
Right. When they do that, I always look at the number, and I'll take a look at that article as well too. Because when we look at articles of such, we always look at the number of people. Like, what was the statistics on it? What was it? What did you have a 21 people that you tested this in? And once again, how many? Was that your count? Or did you have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 16-year-olds that you're testing this in? So you kind of got to look at the numbers when you go to that. Because if you have like 21 people in your testing subject, that really, I mean, we don't even consider that at that point.
Well, but Heather's point is sound. We're laughing about it because Heather said, we should be worried about what's in our Domino's pizza.
Absolutely.
The same people that are like, you don't need organic food, that's just crap, and it's marketing, are the ones that are like, clutch my pearls, I can't have a vaccine because my child's sperm count might go down. Let's be real about it. That dye that's in the Gatorade that they're drinking is probably more likely to harm them than especially the mRNA vaccines, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and don't speak of that. Red dye and blue dye from those hot chips, the worst, that you could possibly give to your kids. But, you're worried about, you're still feeding them hot chips with cheese on it, but you don't want to give them the vaccine. You're stopping at McDonald's every day, but you don't want to give them the vaccine. So we just got to be careful, and we got to look at the count. Look, red number 40. Exactly.
That's just of the devil. That's some bad stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And, you know, people don't even realize it, you know. And speaking of that, you know, when I was in law school, it was a defect handbook that will tell you exactly what's in your foods that you eat. Mold, if it's pieces, fragments of animal parts and so forth. And these are the acceptable levels that the government will allow.
Right, like the amount of mouse in grain silos.
Correct. Like, you think those little black specks in peanut butter are actually what? Okay, I'll let you look it up. So that's why I say, and then, you know, tomato sauce, I mean, it can get away with 40% mold. I mean, it's just so many other things out here that we should probably be worried about than this vaccine. You know, that's been studied, that's been, you know, tested, and so forth. And as I had indicated to you before, SARS is not new. Guys, mRNA is not new. This is something that has been studied for years now.
20 years, Emma.
Yes. So no, it's not at all. But, you know, like, you should be worried more so about the hot chips than the COVID vaccine.
You know, what Sissy says is true. My uncle, who's a chef, used to always say, you know, because he was always saying I was hoity-toity. What? But he would say, you know, princess, if you're really concerned about the preparation of your food, and if they're wearing gloves on their hands, you probably shouldn't be eating out, because I can tell you what happens in a kitchen, and it is not something you ever want to know about. And I was like, la, 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 don't take my joy from me. But,
absolutely.
There's got to be a line, of course, but, you know, here's Harmony the Ninja disgusting ingredients that aren't advertised in food 2012. So, you know, again, if you want the information, this is what I'm saying about it not being education. Because if you want the education, we are in the data age. It takes 0.02 seconds to do a little bit of research. But
yeah, we have so much education.
Shenanigans and malarkey. What was that, Tasha?
We have so much education out there that we have provided. We've created sites, you know, within our company to be able to provide this information, FAQs for people to go out. So at this point, it's just that people don't want to take the vaccine. There's no more excuses that they can provide, you know, and at this point, we're getting back to the time where we're going to be back in the house again. You know, we may potentially be back in masks again, because this particular variant is spreading much faster, right? And at this point, I know they were talking about booster doses. Do we need booster doses? Are booster doses coming? When are they coming? Do we need them? We don't know if we need them yet.
If
right?
we can't get people to get the first 2 shots, how the hell are we going to get them to get a booster?
We'll never know. Right, we'll never know. The only time that we will be able to know if a booster dose is needed is that those areas that are fully vaccinated and they start to see breakthrough of getting COVID, then you will know that you need a booster dose. But at this time, we don't have areas that are vaccinated enough for us to be able to even decipher if we need to you know, have a booster. So we just don't know yet. And if we can't get you to get the first vaccine, we definitely can't give you a booster.
Speaking of not knowing, and that's the other piece of it that also gets me, this is so new. Even if it started, you know, September 2019 that we know about, it's still so new that we don't know what the long-term effect is. Is this going to be like shingles? You know, are we going to be like, woohoo, my best life, I got over COVID. Oh no, crap, I'm dead. Because, you know, 3 years later, it just came out of dormancy and just gave us the beatdown. You know, it's still the new frontier. It's not like a TV show where it like ends in a proper 18 months and then we're done. We still have a long, long road to climb, a long hill to climb, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's not getting any easier because, you know, because of the variant, it's not getting any easier. And what people have to remember is MMR, polio, mumps, the mumps, measles, rubella, all of those ran rampant before, right? The reason we don't see it now is because what? You get vaccinated. Your kids get vaccinated.
Back.
Yeah. Soon as they pop out, what are they trying to do? They're sticking them. Oh, here's your first set of, vaccines for your kid. I mean, before they even leave the hospital, they're having people, give their first shots to their babies, brand new infant babies that are coming out. They're giving. And most parents are like, okay, fine. How many of them are you seeing rejecting those injections when their children are first born? Not many of them. I mean, I did.
Okay, except for the three of us, right?
Right, but most people don't.
Just at the hospital, I was like, dang, can't he at least breathe some polluted air first?
Correct.
Exactly. and I was like, I'm not saying no. I worked with my doctor, who is not American. She's from Argentina. I worked with my doctor I was like, let's space these out. Let's give a little bit of time. Let's see if there's going to be a reaction. Okay, we're good. And now let's go on. But you're right. They, a lot of people, and when you don't, because they were like, what do you mean you're saying no? And I said, no, we can do it in the pediatrician's office. And they're like, somebody else came in. Did you say no? I said, yes. I said no.
Right.
Somebody else came in. Did you say no? Well, you have to sign this paper that you're saying no. Okay, I said no. Okay.
Yeah.
And is the father saying no too? Yes, the father is saying no too. We're both saying no. Look, we're standing here. We're saying no. Give us the paper to sign.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. But
it wasn't no infinity. It wasn't no infinity. It was just let them breathe the polluted air first, and then we can.
Right. And most people don't do that because, a lot of people don't realize that, and they don't understand. And so they're thinking, oh, the doctor is telling me I need to give my baby hepatitis shot as soon as they come out, or I need to give my baby this and that as soon as they come out. Keep in mind that for the first 12 weeks, your baby is where? With you at home. Now, if you choose to invite other people in and, bring in whatever it is, then that's up to you. But most people, myself, waited and let the pediatrician give it at the 3 months. You're not,
right.
Because there's a catch up for vaccines as well. There's a catch up schedule if you need to. But the first 3 months being delayed is not necessarily a catch up, right? Because you choose not to. But if you're allowing someone to give your baby shots as soon as they come out, but you have a 16-year-old masturbating and you're worried about their sperm count, is that what and you don't want to give them the COVID vaccine? I don't understand. So I'm confused. I just don't get it, right? And keep in mind, we have our children that they'll probably bounce back before we will. My son had his first shot and he had a little bit of soreness, and the next day he was back at it, arm didn't bother him at all. The video game, right back at it.
That was my son. I was like, and you might be sick. He's like, yeah, can you pick me up early from school just in case? I'm like, no. Okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, they're perfectly fine, and parents are worried about it, and they're like, no, I don't want to give it to my child. I just want to see how it works. They're bouncing back. They fall out of trees and bounce back up. You think the COVID vaccine? No.
Well, the other thing too is
that's why I challenge people.
The other thing too is we get those notices. So pre-COVID, you get that notice that came home from school. Someone in your child's class tested positive for strep, not in the school. Someone in your child's class tested positive for strep. Okay, yeah, that mama sent that kid pasty, pale, feverish, hair sticking to their face.
Covered in Vicks Vapo Rub.
Right?
You can smell them from the door.
And they sent that baby to school knowing full well. Talking about somebody in your kid's class tested positive for strep. They knew that.
And we're supposed to be believing in the honor system. You just sent your kid out there looking like raw bacon. They're okay, come on now.
Exactly.
That kid would. That kid was pasty. That eye was shut that morning. That eye was closed. It had gunk on it. You said, come on, baby, let me pry that open. We're gonna let's just run the shower. Just open your eye. Your kid woke up looking like death warmed over, and you sprayed him down with some makeup sealer. You sprayed him down.
Yeah. And then those are the same parents who will say, no, my kid must have got it at school from somebody else.
It's always that person too. And like Sissy says, the dreaded head lice. You're like, oh, come on. You had to know your kid had head lice. I mean, your kid, they've got ticks for days. You mean to tell me it came from gymnastics? Come on.
Well, you know what gets me is that I hear some of my daughter's white friends will say, oh, today is not bath day. I'm sorry. She's 10. What do you mean today is not bath day? Is it shower day? No. We don't shower or bathe every day. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm thinking to myself, my daughter's not available to play today. She's not available. What do you mean that they're bath day?
I'm gonna paint this picture because we live in we are surrounded by forest preserves and wetlands. We are surrounded by forest preserves and wetlands. Mm-hmm. And we have to do tick checks because that's how, and for you to be like, today is not bath day because it's 1906 and you gotta heat the water and pour it in the tub and
you have to go to the town hall.
Right. It's not bath day, but you're okay with not having bath day, and you don't want to get your kid the COVID vaccine. Like, I mean, you got to give one. Can they at least take a bath?
And fix that, Brian's dad made them eat.
Right. I don't know.
I have so many questions. I mean, there's so many more things I can ask.
But maybe that's a deterrent when people are standing too close to you. It's not bath day.
Well, maybe I should start using that then.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe when people get too close to you, you say, I'm just letting you know it's not bath day.
Today is not bath day. I mean, that's the new thing. Today's not bath day.
I'm just
a terrible turn. I mean, I believe in baths. I
don't know. I mean, most of the people that are in your circle, are you seeing that they're still rejecting COVID vaccine and saying not for me, or are most of them vaccinated?
I mean, I would say in my circle, most of them are vaccinated, and the ones that aren't vaccinated are the ones who really should be vaccinated. Like, they have the means, they have the ways, they've got great, not that you need insurance for it, but they've got great insurance. But, it's a conspiracy, whatever. And I'm just like, I don't understand. But my clients, my students, the ones that I still see are all vaccinated, which is funny. But, my concern is just like in the fall, so you just let everybody out of masks. Everyone is, as Nikki would say, letting their freak flag fly. I can't ever say that. And, so getting people back into masks in the fall is going to be bananas. I can't imagine this going well for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be back in masks in the fall. I can't see that the schools will open up to the point where they will not be masked, especially since most of the younger elementary school children cannot be vaccinated, right?
Correct.
And then we still have parents that are not vaccinated. So you can't have children at school living in homes, unvaccinated homes, and then coming to school, passing on COVID vaccine to other children. I mean, similar to the pink eye. oh, it wasn't my kid that had it. It must have been your kid that had it when,
Right.
you know, you test everybody in that home and now everybody in that home has COVID.
Right.
So, you know, you're going to have a lot of parents, especially in our area, that are going to freak out and be upset about the fact that their children have to go back to school in masks.
Right.
But once again, I mean, those elementary students, it's just not approved for them at this particular point in time to be able to get vaccinated. Thus, they need to be in masks. And even if they choose not to, my children will be in masks.
Well, and it was really interesting because one of my kids got a flu. Aries got sick. He got that flu that was going around school, and I was like, oh man, and it was like almost, you know, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. I'm like, man, he's got COVID. I'm like, I know he does. I mean, his chest hurt and he couldn't breathe. And I was like, man, it's gonna turn into bronchitis because he's my kid who gets bronchitis. And I was like, dang it, we're just on lockdown. It wasn't COVID. There was a flu that was going around. What's so screwed up about that? Again, somebody sent their freaking kid to school sick. And like, honestly, I just told everybody, I was like, I said, this is COVID. I'm like, I would be really, and they're like, well, can he taste? Can he smell? And I'm like, yeah, he can. And they were like, we don't think it's COVID. And they're like, is he eating? I'm like, yeah, he hasn't stopped eating. Like, he's 13, he eats. But he was like death warmed over. And I was like, no, this is COVID. I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm like, this is COVID. We got him tested. It was completely negative. But again, in the middle of a pandemic, somebody sent their kid to school with that flu and didn't give two poops.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's going to be the problem in the fall because we're wrapping right back around to flu right when the kids go back to school.
And parents are at work. And they're not going to go back to, I'm in, I'm out, I got to find a sitter, all that. They're not, it's going to be on pain of death. I cannot imagine parents being like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go back to the way it once was. I think people will start pitchforking people. So, I was really angry when they decided to, I was really angry when they decided to just like, let it all be because, and I think it was purely an economic decision. It had nothing to do with actual public health, I'm guessing. But, where's the long range planning? Because it's Glenn will tell you that I am fire and brimstone and, miss negativity, but I think it's common sense here. We could barely keep the masks on these fools in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so imagine when August, September gets here and October, which is official flu month, what we're going to do. And if parents have to go back to work beginning in August or in the fall, nobody's, most jobs will probably be like, you've already been home for 565 days. Now you're telling me you have to leave again to go back and pick your children up. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for parents. And then they're just, as you indicated, they're just going to send them to school. And then everybody else is going to get infected again.
And then it's also because there was a lot of sports that did not happen last year. Sports are back. You're going into, your fall sports season. You're going into homecoming. You're going into all of these things that cause, I mean, we had, what do you call it? What do you call it when there's a bunch of people together and then they contract it? Because there was a Halloween party here. There was a high school Halloween party, and it just went everywhere. It was all teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you know what? Teenagers are using the same vaping pipe. They're using the same glass, huffing out of the same brown bag. I mean, you have to remember, like, they're drinking out of the same cup. Oh, let me taste it. And it's like, no. What happened to germs? What happened to, all of these things
right.
Absolutely not. Right. I mean, my kids are thinking I'm a little crazy right now because I always bring those prepackaged plastic forks and knives when we go out. Because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to eat off that silverware. Because most of the time they're just dropping it in and picking it right back up. And so I just start pulling out my purse, these plastic individually wrapped forks and knives. I mean, what? I don't know. What?
I mean, I can roll with it. I have reusable straws in my car, so I don't think it's too far off. But I'm also not eating at restaurants. Everything is takeout.
Right.
Restaurants.
Right. Yeah, it's the takeout. I mean, you know, they want to go out. Okay, let's try this and see how it goes. But hey, I see nothing wrong. It's no different than a lot of Black folks pulling hot sauce out their purse. It's no different than that. Misty, you're looking away.
Do people do that? I would never let anybody live that down. I remember being in Fort Lauderdale with my former in-laws, my former husband's grandparents, Bubby and Zadie, and we were at the Blue Light special, and I remember the purse opened, the dishes went inside, and I was like, I mean, I see this on TV. Like, is this really, like, am I being punked? Is this like some sort of stereotype?
Sissy says Sissy does it. Look at that. See? Aaron says Beyonce does it.
Well, Beyonce does everything and nothing.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to take my own hot sauce somewhere. No, I eat at home. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, but you know, some restaurants just don't carry it, and so they carry small little Tabascos or small little hot sauce.
Louisiana. Louisiana.
I guess I can understand it. Like, being from Pittsburgh, we're pretty brand loyal when it comes to ketchup. So, like, if I go someplace and they're serving Hunt's, which is just not acceptable, I mean, I generally would lament over the crappy ketchup selection. I guess I can go with it.
Yeah, well, you know what I have noticed is that, you know, many of the places, though, due to COVID, have actually moved in the direction in which they should have done pre-COVID anyway, and providing you with packages. You know, no more of that pump ketchup, which I have always been, you know, leery about that pump ketchup, because you don't know.
It gets rancid. It gets rancid.
Yeah, and you don't know what people are
they
doing.
marry it and it gets rancid. Yep.
No, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I am sorry. We are talking about people who don't wash their hands. Why are we sharing? I mean, and I've never liked the fact that the bottles of condiments sit on the table anyway.
Yes.
I mean, then you got some person with like crepitus in their lungs. They're coughing, they're sneezing, they're wiping, and then they're pouring ketchup. I mean, listen, a lot of this shit could be taken care of if we had better dining habits. Seriously.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what they've changed to. I mean, a lot of places have removed condiments from the table. They bring it out to you in like cups and things of that nature now, or they'll give you the packaged, which I always prefer anyway. I always ask for packaged things, even before COVID started, because I just don't like things sitting on the table. You don't know what the last person has did. Everybody isn't honest, truthful. You know, and some people do want to cause harm to others. So you don't know what they're dropping into that sugar.
Sure.
You don't know what they're dropping into that that mustard that sits on the table, and mayo that sits on the table, which mayo probably shouldn't be sitting on the table. You know, to begin with. And you just don't know. I mean, it's no different than, will you put your drink down and walk away from it and go back and get it at a bar or at a club?
No.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. I don't know what someone has did to that ketchup, you know, when I sit down, that has just left here. So
right.
It's good to see that they're moving in that direction where they're packaging things up individually for people, or they're providing you with it from the kitchen. Now, granted, what they do in the kitchen is also totally
suspect.
It's right. It's suspect
a hard pass
as well too. you know, but you know, you got to take some chances at some place. But if you're going to take the chances, you'd rather have those chances taken in the kitchen.
100%. At least back there,
Yeah.
access to hand washing.
Yeah, and buffets. Are buffets back? Sissy, are buffets back? Oh, I thought they were back to the point where they're serving. Yeah,
well, they are
were
back.
serving.
No, but they are back because isn't that, you know, sort of the choice du jour on cruise ships?
Ugh.
Aren't most cruise ships, don't they usually typically have buffets?
But you know what? I saw on Good Morning America now that they do have the buffets on cruise ships, but what they have done is they put up the glass and now they have someone serving you from the buffet. So you can't actually get it yourself now. Someone actually has to serve you. So that's the new thing that I saw on Good Morning America that they're doing on the cruise ships. Now, that's probably the higher end cruise ships, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, Carnival, they just open up the packages that the food came in. They just set it out. You know, lots of luck, peeps. I still don't understand cruising in general. I mean, I understand cruising, but I just, you know, let me just be trapped on a boat with like 10,000 people that probably don't wash their hands. It's a hard pass for this one.
Yeah. I mean, they are having some of the bars that somebody indicated here. They are having some of the bars back in the grocery stores. So that same little 8-year-old that didn't have his mask on, that's sneezing on the bars at the grocery stores, they're back now. They're back. Sneezing on the bars.
He did have his mask on. He's sneezing. It's probably still gross.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we still have to be careful with what we're selecting, where we're going, and what we're choosing, because once again, I mean, it doesn't appear that COVID is going anywhere anytime soon.
This conversation is what nightmares are made of. I'm just saying. I'm saying, when I'm dreaming about slaying zombies tonight, it's all your faults.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? And it's the people that are asking about, you know, or sick of putting their mask on. I mean, the first question is, are you vaccinated? You know, you're sick of having your mask on, but are you contributing to it, or are you helping the cause?
But you can't ask that question.
Yeah. So, I mean, and if you are vaccinated, have you suggested or explained to someone else that they should also get vaccinated if you're sick of wearing masks? I mean, try and convince somebody else, drive them there, take them there. You know, what was really interesting is I saw that, I don't know if it was the governor, I don't know what his title was, in Mississippi, where he indicated that there were 4 of his counties that didn't even get a COVID vaccine set up to be able to provide and administer vaccines.
Not one truck.
And I was just like,
was this a braggadocio moment? Like, what was he was bragging about that?
No, he was upset about it.
No.
And he was
upset about it. Said earlier, because he did say, I heard this as well, the governor of Mississippi turned down any assistance from FEMA. Because FEMA was
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I almost think, no, not almost, I definitely think that any governor that has allowed for that sort of thing to happen, I mean, they're creating a health emergency. How are they not even up on charges? Like, I mean, there used to be a time when upholding or supporting public health initiatives was a requirement of holding office. Now that they can say whatever they want and do whatever they want. How is that?
Yeah, but the issue is that they are probably holding it up, but not in the communities that you think, right? The communities that actually need it are not the communities where they're caring to take care of, right? And so this particular, the guy that was on, he indicated these were 4 Black communities. So the question is, and I don't know the statistics for Mississippi, is what you should be looking at. What are the statistics there? Do you only have 2% of Blacks that are vaccinated in that state. I mean, that should let you know something. But then you have 96 or 86% of whites vaccinated. So how did that occur? How did that happen?
Magic.
Right.
So, you know, the Cannes Film Festival, I believe it opened yesterday, and they were going through the COVID protocols, and it's like, to even get in, you have to show proof that you've been vaccinated, both doses. You have to, there's like a little Scantron thingy. What do you call it?
Like a QR code?
The QR code.
You have to show your paperwork. You have to show that you've been vaccinated within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours prior to whichever evening you're going to.
Yeah.
They had, they were celebrating the anniversary of a movie. So they had beach seating. They had a screen set up on the beach, all these chairs, but you still had to wear a mask. It was not optional. These things were not optional. This was, you have your ticket. That's great. That's awesome. And now here's your protocol. The protocol was not optional. It's like, you want to do this, this is how you're going to do this. And so we know what this is, right? Oh, and I'm sorry, shout out to the Spike Lee. You know, he's the, I don't know what you call it. He's the lead juror at Cannes.
Oh.
He's the lead judge. He's like the president of the judges. Yeah, Spike Lee. Yeah, at Cannes this year. Yeah. So, but these weren't options. They simply said, in order for this to happen, this is the protocol. This is what you have to do. And they took the steps, and they did what they were supposed to do. And no one's complaining. People are like, yes, we're excited that the festival is back. This is not an issue. Yes, I will wear my mask. It's outside. I'm at the beach. I don't care. I'm going to wear my mask.
Well, it's just like they're shut down.
But we don't do that.
In France, when they shut down, our Pilates friends were like, yeah, we're shut down again. This kind of sucks. Oh, well. Nobody was like, oh, I'm going to run a clandestine Pilates organization, you know, underground. You know, we're going to lay on top of each other and do our Pilates exercises just because we want to show the man that we're in charge. Like, it just didn't happen. And I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I mean, here they're pretty brazen about it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The problem with not wanting to, establish a protocol for their establishments, their businesses, is because a lot of them can't afford to, right? They want people to come, and the way that they have people come to their business is to basically say, forget all protocols, because I want you to be able to shop here. Because, you know, you have more people who don't want to wear the mask than there are people that will wear the mask. Right. And so if you have an independent business and you tell them, you know what, in this business, in this establishment, you have to wear a mask, then they want, well, I just don't want to shop here then. Fine, I'm leaving. Right. And, you know, if you're a small business or you're independent, you can't afford that. So you just have to, you know, give in, and you have to say, this is what it is, which, you know, even if it's some of our larger restaurants, they lost a lot of money as well, too. So a lot of them will say, oh, you know what, you wear your mask in. I saw signs that says, you don't have to wear your mask if you're fully vaccinated. Tell me how you know that. How do you know that? Right? So they're trying to appease to everyone to make those people who want to continue to wear their masks make it seem as if they're still making you feel safe, right? You're really not at that point, because you know that there are people that are coming in here that are lying to you, you know, that are not vaccinated, but you need the business, so you're just going to allow it. But at the same time, you jeopardize the health of your workers. Right. You jeopardize the health of your workers, and now your workers have to take off, and one way or the other, you're going to lose business. Would you rather it be because you don't have workers, or would you rather it be that you have some knucklehead that doesn't want to put their mask on for the safety and protection of you and your workers, and just say, okay, well, your $25 really isn't worth it. Right. And see, right now, our where we stand right now is causing them to make that choice. Right.
And then that goes back to government and the lack of support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, you're fighting over to give people $1,200 versus $1,400, you know, it makes it very difficult for folks.
Right. Yeah.
Tasha,
And it is.
I know that you had a time constraint, and we're over it. So I was like, so listen.
It doesn't even matter at this point, right, Misty?
I mean, once we get started, we're like a runaway avalanche. Like, it's hard to stop us.
Right.
But, I mean, before we let you get back to having a real adult life, just want to know if there is one thing that you would say to people about, you know, I'm sure most of our listeners who've managed to stay on this long are vaccinated, but they might have someone in their life that just, you know, maybe missed the memo, you know, whatever. Is there one thing that you would say that you think would be like the ultimate encouragement that you can give them to use kind of as a please last ditch type of thing?
Yeah, I you know what? Because I see a lot of patients with chronic diseases all the time. My thing would be this, because you know everybody loves their grandma, right? Everybody loves their grandma. And to me, it would be, you know, think about your grandma. Think about that your grandma has diabetes or some sort of other, you know, chronic disease that she's dealing with. Think maybe she's immunocompromised or of some sort. And you're just out here unvaccinated and she's asking to see you, right? She wants to see you. She wants you to come over and visit. Now, think about if your grandma told you, you know, I really want to see you, Pooda Bear, you know, whatever name that they have for you. It's usually somebody named Pooda Bear. Pooda Bear. You know, it's usually somebody that wants, you know, but she tells you, you know, but, you know, I got a lot of illnesses. I'm really sick and I can only see you if you're vaccinated. So are you going to tell your grandma, oh, I don't believe in that and I'm just not going to come and see you? You know, I don't want to get vaccinated to come and see you? Or what? Or the fact that even more so that you know how ill your grandma is, that she's elderly, that it may be coming down to her last days and she still wants to see you. And you know for a fact that you've been hanging out and around all these other people that may or may not have been vaccinated. Will you take that chance to go see your grandma and potentially give her COVID? Would you take that chance? Does it mean that much to you to not get vaccinated and to infect someone else, maybe your grandma? Now, I know most people think that, oh, you know, well, it's not my grandma, I'm around other people. That's selfish, right? Because we're all trying to get through this together and to get to one particular spot where we don't have to wear masks, where we can get back to normal. But at this point, we're not getting there. It's only getting worse. So are you okay with not seeing your grandma because you don't want to take the COVID vaccine? Are you okay with telling her no? And if you are, maybe you just that heartless. I don't know. But you know what? If my grandma told me, if she was still alive and she wanted me to see her and I wasn't vaccinated, I'd be right over there getting it.
Boom. I mean,
Shaka.
I mean, you went right to grandma. I mean, as a person that doesn't have any grandparents left, like that's powerful. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
You know,
She actually went to Pooda Bear.
And Pooda Bear.
Pooda Bear. Pooda Bear.
Then said you were selfish.
Pooda Bear.
God damn, you just got the hurting. Pooda Bear went down.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
I mean,
though,
it is a serious health crisis.
The other piece about, you know, essentially hurting somebody else's grandma because you're that special. Those are some powerful nuggets. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tasha,
thank you guys.
Again, I mean, we'll have you back. I mean, because I have a feeling like we're going to be having the same conversation in October. I mean, you're going to need some more stern words for Pooda Bear, though.
Well, you
Pooda
know,
Bear's
October it'll be flu as well. So we'll have a lot to talk about because now you got to figure out, do you have flu or COVID?
Right.
Oh, just the thought of it makes my stomach hurt.
Yep.
You know where I'm going to be in October? On this couch.
Right. Exactly.
Man, thank you so much, Nikki. Anything?
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
No, I love this, and I love, always thank you, because I feel like you give such clear, concise, but fun, in a very fun way, information. And I can tell by the comments that you answered a lot of questions. And that's, that's our thing. That's why we wanted you on. Just that explanation, that breaking down the facts. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Thanks.
easy.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
If you don't understand that Pooda Bear is a selfish prick, if he won't get that shot, then you're not getting it. You're incapable of getting it. Peace out, Pooda.
You better get that Pooda Bear.
Right. Hey.
Thank you. And everybody, thank you for coming and going to the church, Dr. Tasha.
That's Pooda Bear Church.
Yes. Oh wait, my middle name is Pooda Bear. There it is.
Oh my God.
Right there. That means you're responsible. No, I'm kidding. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. So great. We will see you
Next week.
if you're ready to play in the sandbox, and maybe the weather will cooperate next Thursday. Who knows, really?
And maybe my Wi-Fi. Maybe I need a little Pooda Bear. Pooda Bear, get over here.
The weather depends for your Wi-Fi situation.
Very much so. But no, thank you so much. And thanks, you guys, for joining us, as usual, as always.
Thank you for playing in the sandbox. We will see you next week, next Thursday night, 7 o'clock. If you've got your Pooda Bear under control, 6 p.m. If your Pooda Bear
runs amok,
doesn't give a damn about Grant.
Oh, wow.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.